And this is my latest art journal page. If you would like to see the process of how we got from here to here, then join me, won't you? Let's go. Now, my art journal pages have a lot of layers, probably at least 4, sometimes more. And the first layer for me is always going to be a collage of paper scraps. It gives you some depth and interest to the eye underneath your project, and it also makes your paper more strong because it's going to need to hold up to a lot of paint and glue. Now, I've stopped halfway through here so that I can show you that it really is just random pieces of paper scraps glued down anywhere. I haven't thought about this at all. And I keep a bunch of paper scraps left over from other projects, and I just keep them in a basket for this. You can use text, any kind of text, sheet music. This is an old map, and some ads, whatever. So just use whatever you have and start gluing and cover your page. And I'm going to do that now. Now, this is the finished base layer of the kind of collage scraps. The next layer is pretty simple. I'm just going to add, I want to soften some of these edges. And to do that, I'm going to add some gesso. I'm just going to paint with the gesso and soften this a little bit, especially where they're hinged together. I'm not going to do too much because I don't actually want to obscure the text. I do like to add a little bit in the middle to help pull this seam together. I want to keep that. So. Now, while this dries, let's talk a little bit about the next layer, which is going to be laying down some primary focal points. Now, in my altered book layouts, I use authentic vintage papers, but in my art journal pages, I just use the same thing that everybody has, scraps, stuff. A lot of stuff that I've printed up for the graphics fairy and then didn't really use. This is from when I made paste paper back in the day. Stuff from magazines or thrift store books. It could be junk mail, anything. So, and I keep these all in a big basket. And today I've pre-chosen a few to work with to talk about some of the things I kind of consider when laying out a page. I went through a flower phase a few years ago that lasted quite a while, and I must have fussy cut several thousand flowers. I'm not really in that phase anymore, but I have a lot of flowers and I got to use them. So that's beautiful and dramatic. And then I found this garden fairy. I'm not really the garden fairy type, but she's very bold, and I couldn't just leave her there. So notice that I don't want to place this right in the middle. That's too matchy-matchy. I'd like to move it over to what we call a visual third of the way on the page, and it creates more interest to the eye. See, there or there. The same thing with this. I can leave it there, and that's good because you've created a halo. But I'm actually going to move her over to a visual third, and I like that. Let's see. Now I was looking at some nuns, as I do. I just printed these. And I really do like this a lot. And she's actually looking at them kind of like, what? So layout-wise, let's look at this. If I was to move them over here, that's not as strong. Because here they're staring off into something mysterious that we can't see. So it would be better here. And I'm going to think about that. But I'm also going to think about this, because I love arches in my art journal pages, doors, portals. Again, I am not... Actually, this doesn't look bad in the center. It's kind of, again, like a door in a hallway. So I might think about that. And that would be a good start. I might go with that. But let's say I wanted to use, as I'm also thinking about, this butterfly, which is from an art journal, junk journal that is no more. And I do like this on this page. But if I go with this, this is too pink and over the top to go with this dusty palette here. So let's put this aside for a mo. And look about something else we could do. This does take up a lot of the page, but there's something skeletal. It's a museum floor plan. And I like that. It really sets off anything that I want to put in the corner here. And that would also hold together as a layout, I think. Also, very seriously thinking about another nun. And I am leaning towards this because she's got this blue, this dusty blue in her cowl or shawl that picks up the blue in the map. And there's some very subtle blue here. So you're actually getting the eye to see these two pages as one cohesive thing already. I'm also thinking for a background about this, which is a black and white picture from an old magazine. Now this does make too much of itself on this page. So what I'm going to do is rough tear it diagonally like this. If you pull the paper towards yourself, there we go. And so now what I've done is I've got two very dramatic images that could easily anchor the corners like that. And right away, that's going to be whimsical and funky, but also start to pull this layout together without anything else. So I am going to go now and play with this for a while and come back and show you what we got. Now, I had thought to come back when I had glued everything down, but after playing with the images for a good half an hour, 40 minutes, I veered off in such a different direction that I thought maybe I should talk about it. I decided to lay down a little bit more background. These are scraps from Field Guide to Flowers. I got for about 40 pence at a flea market. I'm going to put that there. And then this is a flower. I have a box of, I think I mentioned that. Yeah, flowers. Okay, so I liked that there was a little bit of yellow here. And then I'm going to add the lady there. I'll probably cut this foliage so it doesn't look like it's springing out of her head. Over here, I'm going to add a different page from the flower book. And because it will very slightly echo this and this. And I wanted a little more color that wasn't to balance out this, which is very bold. I went into the box of birds and found this guy. And again, the blue picks up the blue here and pulls the page together so that it's one layout instead of page. And then I thought, well, I can fill this up, but it's going to start getting busy. So I decided on some of my pages, I like to write meaningful sayings or words. And rather than try to compete with all this, I usually just put down a little blank piece of card there so that when this is all glued down, then I can write into that. And now I'm going to go glue it down. Now I have this layer glued down, and we're going to move on to the next layer, which is to make a big smudgy mess that kind of starts pulling the whole thing together, even though we still have more layers. What I've done is I've gone around and outlined every part that I can, and this is using a Caran d'Ache water-soluble pencil. It's a 3B. And I've gone around the leaves. I forgot to go around that. Through the petals, the lady. I think I'm going to go here as well. And we'll finish up this. And it's also gone all around the bird and whatnot. Now I want to activate this image, this graphite that's going to go around everything and really make it pop. For this, I'm going to use gesso, some gesso instead of water. And you just want to start painting into your lines, right? And go ahead and pull it on down into your page. It's kind of hard to describe what happens. It makes a border, but it also makes your components start to blend into the page so the details are less marked. You can see that here. Where using the gesso over here, especially since it's already pretty gray, it's giving a very, almost like a painterly image, a painterly aspect to this lady. And I am going to go finish this off camera and let you know what it looks like on the other side. So this is how it looks after I have gone round and smudged everything with gesso and the water-soluble graphite. If it looks a little weird and a little abrupt, a little muddy, don't worry, because we're going to be adding more layers and more color, and it will pull together, I promise. Now is the point where I want to ask myself if I want to add any more collage elements. And sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. Remember I said I wanted to cut some of the foliage away so it wasn't coming out of her head. So I trimmed this flower, and now I've got these leaves left over. And I'm thinking I could add that right here and do a couple of things. Reflect this green, this foliage with this foliage, and connect the layout this way. Okay? The eye is going to go from here to here. It's also going to make a little canopy for this guy and some interest for the eye. So I'm going to trim that and put that in. I also took off a little bud, and I'm thinking I might put that there in our box or here. I'm not sure where that's going to go yet, but I'm going to use that. And again, to make continuity with this style and color. And finally, I think I'm going to make this really busy and add a butterfly. I wasn't sure about it, but it's not very garish. It's kind of quiet and got a sepia palette that I like that picks up the brown here and the brown here. And look, the orange here and the orange here and the orange here. Now, I did not go around searching for a butterfly with orange. I just found it in the scrap box, and it was a happy accident. So make those happy accidents happen. Let's see. Also, I like the way he's looking down at it. He is admiring it or wants to eat it, or I don't know. What is his story? I'm going to glue this down and come right back. I'm happy with the layout now. I've added my quote, which says, "It's all just an instinct and an experiment and a mystery, so begin," which is by Elizabeth Gilbert. And I know you either love her or you hate her, but I am a fan. Now all that's left is to add color and embellishment and mark making to finish the page and pull it all together. We're going to go from left to right. I did work some of the gray and the gesso into the leaves here and petals. I wasn't completely happy with it, so I thought I'd add some more yellow instead. And I started with a lemon yellow, which is okay, but So I switched over to a kind of a goldenrod sort of thing. And I'm going in here and just adding that to where the gray was. And just smudging that all around. And that's a different look. It's got a little bit more depth to it. While I've got the yellow, I am going to just go throughout without really thinking and add some highlights, which will, add interest to the eye and the page, but also connect the layout, hold it together a little bit. I don't think about this a whole lot. Less is probably more. Let's see. Looking at this figure, I also want to pull some of this blue, this dusty blue color. And so I'm going to go around with this chunky color stick and add a little bit of blue mark making here and there. You know what? Let's just go straight over the binding so that it pulls that together. And let's see. Oh, I want to do a little bit here to make this image pop. I did not want to paint into it, so I'm taking a charcoal stick. And this is a soft charcoal stick. And I want to draw into the pleats of her headdress with the charcoal. And then I'm going to smudge that a little bit. I also added some charcoal lines around the butterfly to make that pop, and around his back, again to try to give it a little bit of a frame. I also drew his perch so that it extends the whole length of the picture. And I'm going to color that in with a similar color, gray. It's not exact, it doesn't have to be. It's just meant to be just a suggestion of a perch. And I am going to stop here. As always, I will keep playing with this for days, maybe weeks, because sometimes I will look back at pages and see ways that I want to play with them some more. And I can do that because it doesn't cost much money and it's not fattening. And I don't know what else you can say that about. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell. Leave me a comment or a question. Otherwise, until next Friday, get up and go make something.